I speak to you in this moment, when your soul feels as though it is standing still. Yet in truth, it is being drawn away from an old foundation to which you have clung for far too long. There are things you have called stability, but before me, they are merely fragile structures built out of the fear of loss. You have grown so accustomed to leaning on what is familiar that you no longer discern what is true peace and what is only the silence of a heart restraining itself to keep from breaking. But I, who know the depths within you, I am calling you out of that place, for it is no longer where I have ordained for you to remain. As it is written, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. John 14:27. Do you see? True peace is never built upon endurance, nor does it arise from your attempts to keep everything calm by avoiding the truth. My peace is life. It is presence. It is the space where your soul does not need to shrink itself in order to survive. Yet many times you have chosen temporary shelters constructed from habits and attachments, things that keep you from being alone, yet also keep you from being free. I see clearly the nights when you lie still, with no tears left, yet no joy remaining. You have called that maturity, but in truth, it is the mark of a soul that has learned to endure rather than to live. I see the relationships you hold on to out of fear of emptiness, even though deep within you, know they diminish you and cause you to forget the original image I placed within you. I also see the decisions you make simply to keep everything peaceful. Yet that calmness is like the surface of frozen water still above, but cold and isolating beneath. Remember the people of Israel on their journey out of Egypt. They stood before the Red Sea, with pursuit behind them and the unknown before them. At times they longed to return to slavery simply because it was familiar. Yet I spoke through Moses, do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Exodus 14:13. You also stand at such a threshold. Behind you are old foundations. Before you is the territory I am opening, and I do not lead you out of what is old to abandon you, but to bring you into what is real. I do not call you to leave because I wish to take away your refuge, but because I know those places no longer carry life. There are foundations that appear strong, yet even the lightest wind is enough to reveal the cracks within, and I will allow the wind to pass through, not to destroy you, but to show you clearly what must be released. Like Abraham, when he was called to leave his homeland, he was not given the full map, but he was given a promise. Go to the land I will show you. Genesis 12:1. In the same way, you are being led not by control, but by trust. You have believed that holding on to what is familiar would keep you safe. But I tell you, true security does not lie in control. It lies in belonging. You were not created to live within structures you built out of fear of being abandoned. You were created to dwell in my presence, a place where you do not have to pretend to be whole, nor hide your weakness. I am your refuge and your fortress, Psalm 91:2. Not the temporary attachments you have called peace. Remember Peter when he stepped out of the boat onto the sea. As long as his eyes were fixed on me, he walked upon the waves. But when he turned his gaze to the wind, he began to sink. Matthew 14:29-30. In the same way, I am calling you to step out of the boat of familiar limitations, not to make you unsafe, but to teach you how to live in a different kind of security. The security of my presence, and I am standing there, in the very midst of the storm you fear, to keep you from sinking when you dare to trust. My child, I do not speak these things to burden your heart, but to awaken what has been dormant within you for far too long. There is a part of you that has already outgrown the places you remain. Yet you have held yourself back because you have not yet dared to release. I do not require you to be strong all at once. I only ask that you be willing to believe that where I am leading you is not loss, but expansion. You are being led out of a confined room into a space where your soul can truly breathe. And as you begin to let go, you will see that not everything collapses, but rather that what does not belong to you begins to fall away. What is real will not require you to hold it tightly, for I myself will hold it for you. You are not being left in emptiness. You are being placed into the space of renewal. I am clearing what is around you so that you will no longer live by endurance, but by fullness of life. Beloved, listen to me in this stillness. I do not take away to impoverish you, but to set you free. I do not dismantle the old foundation to leave you without direction, but to establish you upon what is true. And when you step forward, you will realize that what you once perceived as loss was only a doorway leading you into the place where you have always belonged. Therefore, rise not in confusion, but in the awareness that I am leading you. You do not walk alone. You are not abandoned. You are being brought out of the shadow of what is temporary into a light that will never fade. And as you walk, I will go before you, beside you, and behind you, so that not a single step you take will fall outside of my keeping. I speak to you with the gentleness of mercy, for I see clearly that what you are experiencing is not a meaningless collapse, but a process through which I am quietly reshaping your soul. You have lived as one who builds shelters for yourself in uncertain lands, and in the wisdom born of fear, you chose foundations that seemed safe but carried no life. You have learned to lower your expectations to avoid disappointment, to keep your distance to avoid pain, to remain silent to avoid conflict. And gradually, you have called this stability Yet-E, who see beyond every layer. Know that beneath the calm you feel, your soul has often had to shrink itself simply to survive. And then I begin to do something you do not always understand at first. I allow those foundations to tremble, not to destroy you, but to awaken you from a structure that is no longer wide enough for the true self I am forming within you. As it is written, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? Psalm 11:3. You are stepping into that very question not to be lost in confusion, but to realize that I never place your destiny upon what can easily be shaken. I am moving you from sand to rock, from what is temporary to what is eternal. You are beginning to see that what once gave you a sense of safety can no longer hold you as it did before. Praise no longer sustains you. Acceptance no longer steadies you. And relationships that once made you feel you belonged now cause you to shrink in order to fit. You may think this is loss, but I tell you, it is an opening. Like Abraham, when he left his homeland, he did not lose his place. He was led into a promise he had never yet seen. Genesis 12:1-2. You are in that same movement, not being stripped away, but being led forward. I see clearly the walls you have built so that no one could touch the most fragile places within you. You believed that if they were high enough, thick enough, and sealed tightly enough, you would no longer feel pain. But you did not realize that those same walls have also kept you distant from my breath. I do not come to break you, but to enter the places you have locked away in fear. As it is written, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock," Revelation 3:20. I do not force the door open. I knock so that you may recognize that I am the one you have been seeking through every layer of defense. There is a story in Scripture you must remember. Joseph. When he was young, he was given great dreams, yet he was thrown into a pit, sold, and forgotten in prison. If seen with natural eyes, every foundation of his life had collapsed. But in truth, it was not collapse, it was hidden construction. Every place that seemed like loss was where I was shaping him into someone large enough to carry what I had promised. And at the appointed time, Joseph was no longer the man of the pit or the prison, but one who stood in authority, bringing provision and salvation to many, Genesis 41. In the same way, what is shaking in your life is not a sign of failure, but a sign that you no longer belong to the old level. I hear the question rising in the quiet of your heart, why have the things I once relied on suddenly become unstable? And I answer you with a truth both gentle and firm, because you are growing. A child cannot remain in a small room once their body has matured. A soul cannot continue to live within old limitations when I have expanded it by my own breath. As it is written, grow in the grace and knowledge of the Lord, 2 Peter 3:18. That growth is not always gentle. At times it takes the form of disruption, to draw you out of what is no longer sufficient for who you are becoming. You think you are losing your sense of security, but I am redefining what security means within you. True security is not the absence of shaking, but the place where you never depart from me. As David said, "The Lord is my refuge and my fortress," Psalm 18:2. When I am your foundation, you are no longer shattered by the changes around you, because your roots are not in people, nor in emotions, but in me. You are beginning to no longer tolerate the things that once caused you to shrink. And you may think this is discomfort, but I tell you, it is a sign of awakening, like the blind man who received sight in John 9. When light comes, darkness can no longer maintain its former shape. When truth touches you, the things that once felt fine yet were not right will begin to feel unbearable. This does not mean you are changing in the wrong direction. It means you are being realigned into what is true. I do not condemn you for having built your life this way. I understand that you did so to survive, but neither will I allow you to remain there. For I did not design your life upon survival. I built it for life, and that life cannot be contained within old structures. Therefore, listen carefully. What is shaking is not meant to frighten you, but to free you. What is leaving is not abandoning you, but making room for what I have prepared. And what you perceive as losing security is in fact my way of bringing you into a firmness you have never known. I am here not distant, not turned away, but present within this very process. And when every old layer falls away, you will not find yourself empty. You will find yourself rebuilt upon me. I speak to you in the quiet of your soul, where the noise of what once tried to pull you back has faded. You are being led into a simple yet liberating truth. The peace you seek is never born from everything around you standing still, but from knowing that you are in me. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ. Philippians 4:7. Do you see? This is not a peace dependent on circumstances, but a protection that flows from a presence that never leaves you. You have grown accustomed to trying to hold everything around you tightly, sealing it as if with enough control. you could prevent yourself from ever being hurt again. But I tell you this, you were not created to be the one who strains to hold everything together. You were created to be held in me. As David once declared, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress," Psalm 18:2. You do not need to turn your life into a defensive structure. For I myself am your refuge. When I am your wall, you no longer need to construct fragile layers of protection out of fear. I do not invite you into a life without storms. I invite you into a life where, in the midst of every storm, you no longer lose your direction. You do not need days without disturbance in order to have peace. You only need to know that I am there, right in the center of every upheaval, like the disciples on the Sea of Galilee when the storm arose. They panicked because all they saw were the waves. Yet I was in the boat with them, Mark 4:39. And with a single word from me, the wind fell silent. In the same way, my presence does not always remove the circumstances immediately, but it prevents your soul from being swallowed by them. I see how weary you have become from trying to keep yourself safe. You have built walls out of past experiences, covered your cracks with silence, and tried to keep everything fine so no one would see you trembling. But I tell you, the life in me was never designed to be imprisoned within those walls. As it is written, "If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed." John 8:36. I did not come so that you would continue constructing defenses. I came to release you from the need to defend yourself at all times. My child, I am doing a quiet yet profound work in your life. I am changing your foundation, not through meaningless chaos, but through the light of truth. I do not tear you down with storms, but I allow what is not true within your foundation to be revealed. As when my word shines into darkness, everything unstable is exposed for what it truly is. And when you feel those tremors, you call it instability, but I call it truth being unveiled. Remember the story of Abraham. When I called him to leave what was familiar, I did not give him the full map. I gave him a promise. I will make you into a great nation. Genesis 12:2. If he had clung to the old place out of fear of losing security, he would never have stepped into the greater promise. In the same way, I am leading you out of the structures you once relied upon, not because they had no value, but because they are no longer sufficient to contain what I am doing within you. You will come to see that when certain things begin to leave your life, you are not losing yourself. You are simply being separated from what once held you within an older version of who you were. Like a potter reshaping clay not to destroy it, but to form it according to the design he intended. Jeremiah 18:6. So I am doing within you, not to tear you down, but to refashion you. I know there are moments when you feel as though you are losing control, but I tell you, this is the moment I am teaching you to let go, not in despair, but in the awareness that you are not the one who must hold everything together. I am the one who holds. And when you cease striving to carry everything by your own strength, you will discover a sustaining support you have never known before. You no longer need to make yourself smaller to fit into old patterns. You were created to grow in me. And as I expand you, certain old structures will no longer fit. This is not loss, it is maturity. As Paul said, "When I was a child, I spoke like a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things." 1 Corinthians 13:11. You are stepping across such a threshold. I am leading you out of the old house, not to leave you disoriented, but to bring you into the place where you truly belong. And that place is not built on fear, not supported by control, and not sustained by strain. It is built upon me, a foundation no storm can shake. Therefore, let your heart be at rest in this. What is changing is not a sign that you are being abandoned, but a sign that you are being positioned rightly. I have not withdrawn from you. I am drawing you deeper into myself. And as you continue forward, you will no longer seek peace in the stillness of circumstances, but in the certainty that I am there, unchanging, unwavering, never letting go of you for even a moment. I speak to you with the gentleness of one who knows every hidden movement within your heart, in places no one else can reach. When I begin to change the foundation of your life, I do not do so by force, nor by demanding that you immediately release everything. I work in a deeper, quieter, and more enduring way. I transform the very substance within you, where every reaction, every choice, and every fear is formed. You have thought that change comes through major decisions. But I tell you this, true transformation begins in the places you cannot see. As it is written, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 36:26. Do you see? I do not begin by altering your circumstances, but by renewing what is within. When I replace exhaustion with stillness, you no longer respond as you once did. When I exchange the fear of abandonment with the assurance of being held in me, your very breath begins to change. When I replace doubt with the gentle light of clarity, your thoughts begin to realign into a new order. You may not always notice it immediately, but with each morning you awaken, there will be something subtle that feels different, a deeper breath, a space within your heart no longer tightly compressed, a reaction that once surged now softened into quiet. This is not coincidence, nor is it self-generated change. It is I, quietly replacing the material of your soul's foundation. From the old substance of self-protection, I am placing within you a new substance of peace. And when the inner structure becomes steady, the outer will no longer collapse as before, because it is now being built upon a different ground. I want you to understand something even deeper. This process is not only healing, it is a return to belonging in me. You once believed you were living in safe houses, relationships, habits, familiar spaces, but I see clearly that many times you were only taking shelter in places that helped you forget your unrest. And so, I begin to draw you back to myself, not by force, but by a quiet pull that cannot be resisted. You will recognize this through subtle signs. You find yourself more weary of conversations that once kept you occupied. Things that once attracted you now feel empty, and your heart begins to desire stillness rather than chase its former pace. You may think you are losing interest, but I tell you, this is the sign that you are being brought back to where you truly belong. As Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. That weariness is not failure, it is the invitation to return. I do not draw you back to control you. I draw you back so that you no longer have to sustain yourself by your own strength. You have grown accustomed to bracing yourself to maintain stability. But in me, you no longer need to strive. You only need to remain. And as you remain, I will do the rest. I am carrying out a deep work within your soul, reclaiming you from places where you no longer belong. This does not happen with noise or spectacle. It moves like a quiet current, yet one that is certain and unyielding. You begin to feel that you no longer fit within old spaces, no longer resonate with the heavy atmospheres you once endured. You may think this is inconsistency within you, but I tell you, it is the realignment of your soul. Like Abraham when he was called to leave his homeland. He did not immediately understand all the reasons. Yet he sensed a call deeper than all familiarity. Genesis 12:1. You, too, are hearing that call within your heart, not the voice of loss, but the voice of return. A return to the place where you no longer need to pretend to be strong. A return to the place where you no longer have to keep everything under control. A return to the place where you do not have to save yourself. I know there are moments when you feel disoriented, as though everything that once anchored you is slowly slipping away. But I tell you, this is not disintegration, it is repositioning. I am moving you from a place of temporary shelter into a place of belonging. And in this process, there are things that will naturally no longer fit, not because they are wrong, but because you have changed. You are no longer the old self trying to survive within an old structure. You are becoming a new creation in me. As Paul said, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. This newness is not merely a title, it is the way you breathe, the way you respond, the way you exist. So when you feel that you are no longer the same, do not be afraid. When you find that you no longer fit into what once defined you, do not be troubled. When you sense a desire to grow still rather than continue striving, do not resist. This is not you losing something. It is you being brought back to me. I am rebuilding you from within, layer by layer, breath by breath. And as your inner foundation becomes firm, you will no longer fear the changes around you, for you will know with certainty, I am here, and you are exactly where I am placing you. I speak to you with the gentle calm of the one who is restoring your life from within, in places unseen by human eyes. Yet, where your soul is being guided step by step, you will come to realize that I am becoming your true dwelling, not when all disturbances disappear, but when, in the midst of them, you remain steady within. Your peace will no longer come after everything settles. It will go before your circumstances, like light preceding the dawn. As it is written, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on you. Isaiah 26:3. Do you see? That sustaining peace does not depend on external order, but begins from the place where you choose to rest your trust. Before, you needed the world to be still in order for your heart to be at peace. You needed every story to be resolved, every problem to be settled, every relationship to be free of conflict before you could dare to breathe deeply. But I am doing something new within you. I am causing your heart to be at rest, even while everything remains unfinished. This is the first sign of a shift, deeper than any external change. You are no longer living in reaction, you are living in presence. And when you recognize this, know that you are no longer standing within the old house. Like Paul and Silas in prison, surrounded by chains and darkness, yet within them arose prayer and praise. Acts 16:25. Their circumstances did not change, but the inner space they inhabited belonged to another reality. So it is with you. I am teaching you to step into a place where your circumstances no longer determine the state of your soul. You are learning to let me become your axis. After this first sign, you will begin to recognize something deeper, clarity in discernment. You will know without needing confirmation, understand without requiring explanation, sense what is right without arguing within yourself for long. This is not the natural intuition of your former self, but my light being placed within your mind. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. When you stand upon my foundation, you no longer have to grope through the fog of uncertainty. You will begin to distinguish between two kinds of silence. One that is the silence of avoidance, and one that is the silence of presence. In the past, you confused them, believing you had peace, when in truth, you were merely avoiding what needed to be faced. But as I rebuild your foundation, the difference will become clear. One kind of silence causes you to shrink, while the other opens you, and I am leading you into the latter. In this process, I do not build everything within you all at once. There are days when I lay the foundation, days when I remove old layers, and days when I simply remain still so that you may learn to recognize my presence even when there is no visible movement. But you must remember this: there is not a single day in which I step away from the work within you. Just as a wise builder never abandons a house under construction, I will never abandon the soul I am restoring. There will be days when you see old things naturally fall away. Habits that once held you will lose their grip. Conversations that once consumed you will no longer find a place within you. You may not understand the reasons immediately, but I am clearing the ground, like a farmer preparing the soil before sowing seed. I am preparing the inner field of your life so that what is new may grow. Then there will be days when you find yourself drawn more deeply into stillness. You will no longer chase the noise of busyness as you once did. The clamor that once attracted you will lose its appeal, and silence will no longer feel threatening. This is when I am raising the first walls of your new dwelling within you, not with visible stone, but with the stability of your soul. Like Elijah in the cave, he did not encounter me in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. You, too, are learning to recognize me in that quiet. And there will be times when you find yourself no longer wanting to engage in battles that no longer carry meaning. Not because you have grown weaker, but because I am shifting the center within you. You no longer react from old instincts, for I am placing a new covering over your life, a covering of peace. My peace I give to you, not as the world gives. John 14:27. This peace does not avoid trials, it rises above them. When you begin to feel a quiet warmth enveloping your heart in moments that once felt empty, this is the clearest sign that the new dwelling is nearing completion. Not because everything is finished, but because I am drawing near within every part of you that is being rebuilt. You will come to realize I am not only the builder, I am the foundation, the walls, the covering, and the very breath within that dwelling. And then you will understand, in a way that is deep and unshakable, that you are no longer one who searches for a place to belong. You have become one who dwells in me. No longer temporary shelter, no longer patchwork, no longer dependence on what is fragile. You are living within a reality that I, myself, sustain, and nothing outside can shake what I am establishing within you. I speak to you with the weight of a decree that no longer belongs to the past, but to what I am unfolding within your soul right now. You were not created to wander among temporary places, nor formed to visit my presence only in moments of exhaustion. I did not make you a lodger within your own life. I formed you to dwell, to belong, to breathe within my presence, as breath is inseparable from life itself. You will recognize that you have entered my true dwelling not by outward signs, but by a profound shift in the way you exist, when you no longer need to prove anything to be acknowledged, when you no longer shrink yourself to be accepted, when you no longer inflate your worth to be seen, then you will know you are standing upon what is real. As it is written, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You no longer live as one striving to exist, but as one already established within a reality prepared in me. I do not build this house for you as a temporary refuge amid life's disturbances. I build it as a living space, a place where you move, grow, perceive, and rediscover yourself in my light. You will find that you are no longer governed by external judgments, nor pulled by voices that once defined you, for within my dwelling, you do not need to become someone else in order to remain. And now I declare something of establishing power over your soul, a decree not merely to be heard, but to be inscribed into the depths of your being. You are being brought into a new dwelling, not by your own effort, but by my leading, not as a superficial transition, but as a true relocation of your soul from an old foundation into the one I have prepared. Just as Abraham was called out of the familiar into the realm of promise, Genesis 12:1. So you are being led out of what is temporary into what belongs to your destiny. You are no longer building your life upon the fear of rejection. You are no longer forming connections out of the need for temporary filling. You are no longer constructing fortresses of defense shaped by wounded memory. I am leading you out of all those structures not to leave you empty, but to place you upon the foundation I myself have established. That foundation does not shift with emotion, does not fracture under circumstance, and does not collapse under human reaction. As it is written, the Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, Psalm 2. You no longer need to build walls to protect yourself, for I am the living fortress that surrounds you. You no longer need to create coverings to shield yourself from fear, for I am the covering no storm can penetrate. You no longer need to shrink yourself to fit old molds, for I am expanding you according to the dimension of life I have ordained. I know you have lived as one who had to hold your breath in order to feel safe, keeping silent to avoid conflict, keeping distance to avoid pain, keeping yourself small so you would not be broken again. But I tell you, this is not the life I intended for you. True security does not come from controlling everything around you, but from knowing that I am there, never departing from you. From this moment, you begin to live from the inside out, no longer reversing the order as before. You no longer strive to fix your circumstances in the hope that your heart will then find peace. Instead, I am placing peace within you first, so that from there, every circumstance may realign into its proper place. As it is written, be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not avoidance, it is the restoration of order within your soul. You will find that in this new dwelling, you no longer need to strain to preserve your worth. You do not need to exaggerate what is small, nor diminish what is great. You simply need to be present, and your presence in me is already enough. This is the deepest sign that you have returned to where you belong. You no longer have to strive to be accepted, for you are already held within my eternal acceptance. I do not bring you into this house for you to stand outside and look in, but for you to live within it, not to visit when you are weak, but to remain through every season of your life, not as a temporary refuge, but as a permanent reality in which you dwell and move. And as you walk within this dwelling, you will come to realize something profound. You no longer seek me as a destination, for I have become the very environment in which you live. There is no longer distance, no longer near or far, no longer belonging to one moment and not another. There is only presence, steady, deep, and unshakable. You have been established in me, and from this place, every step you take will no longer be a journey in search of home, but a life lived from within the home I prepared for you long before you knew you needed it. I speak to you with the firmness of one who is restoring order within your soul, where all that is fragile is being replaced by what cannot be shaken. You must understand this clearly. Inner elevation is not a sudden burst, not a single moment where you realize you have changed, but a new realm of living into which I am leading you step by step. As it is written, walk worthy of the calling you have received, Ephesians 4:1. That walk is not loud, yet it reshapes the entirety of your inner life. As I lift your inner being, you will not find yourself becoming greater in the way the world defines it, but deeper, Veda, and more firmly rooted within yourself. A kind of freedom will begin to form within you, one that does not come from circumstances, from people, or from achievements, but from my presence covering your life. This is a freedom that money cannot buy, success cannot produce, and recognition cannot grant. As it is written, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36. This freedom is not merely the absence of external chains, but the release from all that once bound you within. You will begin to sense a clear expansion within your heart. Spaces that once felt confined by anxiety, by reaction, by fear, will now open and allow you to breathe. Old triggers will no longer cause you to contract as before, not because they have entirely disappeared, but because the foundation within you has changed. I am transforming the resilience of your soul, not to harden you, but to free you from being governed by past wounds. You will find yourself speaking less, yet your words will carry greater weight. Your responses will slow, not from disconnection, but because you are learning to discern before reacting. You will love no longer in blindness, but with clarity, knowing what to hold, what to release, what comes from me, and what is merely noise. This is the mark of an inner life being brought into order. In your daily life, you will notice very tangible shifts, conversations that once unsettled. Your emotions will no longer control you. Words that once wounded you deeply will now pass like waves that do not pull you under. Situations that once caused panic will instead lead you to pause, breathe deeply, and remain steady. As it is written, the Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. Psalm 29:11. This peace does not arrive after the storm, it stands within it. You will begin to distinguish more clearly the relationships around you, not through judgment, but through inner clarity. You will recognize what nourishes you and what drains you, what carries life and what is merely the repetition of old patterns. And you will no longer feel confused as before. because the light within you has become sufficient to discern. You may ask why this change is happening. I tell you, it is because the atmosphere within your inner dwelling has shifted. Just as a house placed upon a new foundation causes everything within it to respond differently, so it is with you. What is incompatible will naturally fall away without force. What once easily stirred your emotions will no longer find a place to attach itself. This is not you becoming rigid, it is you being rightly established in me. And now, I desire to teach you how to live steadily within this space. For even a house built by me requires that you learn how to dwell in it rightly. First, you must learn to return inward before making any decision. This is not delay, it is alignment. You will continue to live amid the noise of the world. Yet within you, there is a place where I dwell. An inner chamber I have formed where you can encounter truth again. As it is written, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Each time you enter into that stillness, you will begin to recognize this. My voice becomes clearer than your emotions. My guidance more distinct than your natural reactions. And truth deeper than fleeting feelings. In practical terms, this will take on very real expressions. You will no longer respond immediately in anger. You will no longer react from wounded places when your past is touched. And you will no longer rush when a door closes. You will pause. You will turn inward. You will breathe. And in that space of stillness, you will hear something deeper than every external sound. I am here. From that point, your choices will no longer be reflexive, but guided, no longer defensive, but discerning, no longer driven by panic, but grounded in the stability that comes from me. You are learning a new way of living, not from reaction, but from presence. Not to avoid pain, but to live from a place where pain no longer governs you. And as you move deeper into this space, you will realize I am not only changing your circumstances, I am changing the way you exist within every circumstance. And this is what inner elevation truly is, a repositioning that no one can take from you, because it does not lie in the hands of others, but in me, the one who holds you in an unshakable steadiness. I speak to you with the stability of the one who is rebuilding the foundation of your life upon an order no longer rooted in illusion, but in truth that cannot be shaken. The second strategy I place within you to sustain your inner dwelling is this. Every true foundation can only stand when it is built upon truth, not upon fragile assumptions you once used to comfort yourself. As it is written, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Truth is not always comfortable, but it is always liberating. You once lived within structures built upon expectations, the expectation that others would change, that circumstances would improve on their own, that pain would fade if you were patient enough. But I tell you, these are not foundations. They are constructs of the mind seeking to avoid confrontation. And anything built upon illusion will tremble when reality touches it. Your new dwelling cannot be built upon what is not real. It can only stand when you are willing to stand upon what is true, even when that truth calls you to look within yourself. I am teaching you a different kind of courage, the courage of truth. When you dare to face your emotions without fleeing from them, you do not become weaker, you are being set free. When you dare to acknowledge that certain relationships no longer align with the path I have set before you, you do not become cold, you become clear. When you dare to recognize your limits without condemning yourself, you do not lose your worth, you step into true maturity. In your daily life, you will begin to realize that you no longer need to run from your emotions as you once did. The Spirit of God searches all things, even the deep things of God. 1 Corinthians 2:10. My presence does not avoid the truth within you. I illuminate it so that you are no longer guided by what is distorted. And when my light reaches those places that were once hidden, you will see that you are not being exposed, but healed. You will find yourself no longer needing to escape what you feel, no longer covering it with busyness, silence, or avoidance, but instead facing it, not to be consumed by it, but to understand it. You will no longer feel compelled to maintain an image of being fine before others. You will begin to live truthfully in my presence, and that very truth will make you more secure than any layer of defense you once relied upon. And as you live within that truth, you will come to realize something profound. Your strength does not come from the need to be strong, but from being in me. Strength will no longer be a pressure you must uphold, but the natural result of no longer living in pretense. As Paul said, when I am weak, then I am strong. 2 Corinthians 12:10. True strength does not come from denying weakness, but from no longer fearing to face it in my light. The next principle I teach you is deeper still, learning not to leave my dwelling, regardless of the seasons of your life. You must understand that the house I am building within you is not designed to stand only in favorable conditions. It is designed to stand in every season. There will be days when you feel as though you are soaring, everything opening, every step flowing with ease. And there will be days when you feel heavy, tested, stretched by what you do not understand. But I am forming within you a new constancy, not defining your soul by the season. You do not return to me only when things are good, nor do you depart from me when things are difficult. You remain in me as a fixed place, not as a fluctuating state. As it is written, I will never leave you nor forsake you, Hebrews 13:5. And I am teaching you to live this truth in return. You do not leave me, no matter what comes. When you rejoice, you do not drift from the foundation. When you grieve, you do not fall away from it. When you succeed, you do not forget it. When you are disappointed, you do not return to the old foundations of self-protection and control. You simply return to me, the unchanging point in the midst of every movement in your life. I am forming within you a kind of stability the world cannot teach, a stability that does not come from keeping everything still, but from knowing where you belong. As David said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. It is not the circumstance that changes, but the place where you anchor your heart that remains unshaken. You will come to see that when you no longer return to old habits to seek a false sense of safety, you are not losing your anchor, you are being repositioned. Old reactions, former shelters, familiar defenses all begin to lose their pull, not because you force them away, but because I am changing where you draw life from. And in all of this, I want you to remember, your new dwelling does not stand because you hold it together, but because I hold you within it. You are not the one responsible for maintaining that stability by your own strength. You only need to remain in me, and I will sustain every part. Therefore, walk in truth, not in illusion. Stand in me, not in the shifting of seasons. Remain in my dwelling, not as a visitor passing through, but as one who has been established, and you will see nothing in your life can shake the foundation I am laying within you. I speak to you with both gentleness and certainty, as the one who is placing upon your life a foundation, not only for you, but for those who will be touched through you. As you enter my presence, you are no longer being formed merely to stand firm for yourself, but to become a living space of peace that I am establishing. As it is written, you are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. Light is never created to be hidden. It naturally extends outward. In the days ahead, you will perceive not through outward noise, but through the deep stillness within your soul, that your presence begins to carry a different kind of quiet, not an empty silence, not the stillness of avoidance, but a silence with weight, like a space that has been touched by me and filled with my peace. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ, Philippians 4:7. Do you see that guarding does not only surround you, it flows from you, not because you generate it, but because you are dwelling where I abide. Within you, there will be a stillness that does not require effort, explanation, or proof. It is a kind of quiet that others step into and immediately sense that they no longer need to defend themselves. Those who draw near to you will not only hear your words, they will feel what exists behind them, a space that does not rush to judge, does not push them away, and does not cause them to shrink. I am doing this not to elevate you as a symbol, but to make your life a living testimony of my presence. As it is written, you are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. Light does not hold itself back. It naturally shines outward. And the peace I place within you will do the same. It will not remain contained within you, but will flow through you to those who are weary around you. You will begin to realize that in a world constantly shifting, reacting, rushing, and searching for something to hold on to, your life becomes a place of stillness, not because you have control over everything, but because you are no longer controlled by anything. And it is this very reality that will draw others toward you. They will come not because you have all the answers, nor because you are more perfect than they are, but because within you there is something they lack, a space without judgment. They will sense that near you. They do not need to wear masks, prove their worth, or shrink themselves in order to be accepted. And this is the mark of my presence at work within you. Just as Jesus sat among those rejected by society, tax collectors, sinners, those deemed unworthy, he did not push them away or diminish them, but opened a space where they could rediscover their true value. Luke 5:29-32. You are being brought into that same current, not to become one who judges, but to become a place where others encounter life. You will see that those who come near you may not always articulate why they are drawn, but deep within, they are seeking a place where their soul is not evaluated, compared, or rejected. And I am using your very presence as a doorway into that space. But you must understand this clearly. What they sense within you is not you. It is me within you. You are not the source. You are the place through which the flow moves. And because of this, you do not need to strive to become something for them. You only need to remain in me. I am teaching you something deeper than words. Presence is more powerful than explanation. You do not need to speak excessively to bring peace. The steadiness within you is already speaking. You do not need to try to heal anyone. I will use your presence to touch them in ways words cannot. And when this unfolds, you will understand that I am not only healing you, I am making your life a refuge for other weary souls. Not because you carry them, but because my peace is flowing outward from you. As it is written, let your light shine before others, Matthew 5:16. That light is not to display you, but so that others may see me through you. You will not need to strive to create influence. You only need to remain in me. And influence will form naturally. You will not need to try to become a safe place for others. I will make you that place as you abide in me. And the deepest realization you will come to is this: the moment you stop striving to be that, you become it naturally. For it is no longer your effort, it is my work within you. Therefore, rest in this truth. You are not only being built, you are being used. Not only to stand firm, but to carry that steadiness to others. And not by your own strength, but by my presence breathing within you each day. This is not your construction. It is the result of my dwelling within you. As it is written, God is within her. She will not fall. Psalm 46:5. When I dwell in you, your life itself becomes a refuge through which I reach the weary and the searching. You will no longer be merely one who stands firm for your own sake. You will become a living sign that a true place of safety exists in me. And this does not come from your perfection, nor from the absence of weakness, but from the fact that you have passed through places of breaking and still remained upheld by my hand. It is that very journey that makes your presence real, unfeigned, unconstructed, and untouched by pretense. There will be people who draw near to you and will not need long explanations. They will simply need to be within the space you carry. They will begin to feel lighter without knowing why. They will begin to breathe more deeply without understanding the reason. And in those moments, I am using your life as a living testimony that I truly am a refuge for the human soul. You will be able to say to them with an unembellished truth, I, too, once feared that I would collapse. I, too, once did not know what to hold on to, but I was brought into a place where I no longer had to hold myself together. And that truth will carry more power than any persuasion ever could. But you must understand this deeply. The light I have placed within you was never designed to be kept for yourself alone. Like a city set upon a hill that cannot be hidden, Matthew 5:14. So your life was never meant to remain closed in upon itself. When I heal you, I also open you. When I rebuild you, I also make you into a place where others may find direction. I am placing you into a role, not so that you may carry burdens in your own strength, but so that you may radiate life. And that radiance does not come from striving, but from presence. You do not need to try to become a source of peace. You need only remain in me. And peace will flow through you naturally to those around you. And now I declare something as a marker that closes the old season and opens a new reality within you. The old house has reached the end of its time. Not because it held no meaning in the past, but because it can no longer contain who you are in the present. The structures of fear, the habits of avoidance, the foundations of self-defense, all have fulfilled their role in forming who you have become. And now I am leading you out of them. I will no longer allow you to live in the temporary state of the soul. I am bringing you into the place where you truly belong. As it is written, I will lead you into a good land, Jeremiah 29:11, according to the principle of promise. No more repeating old cycles. No more returning to former places. No more rebuilding old houses. You have been repositioned. You have been reset. You have been established within a new realm of my presence. And within that realm, you no longer live merely to survive, but to reflect me. Walk with this awareness. You are not only being kept, you are also being sent. You are not only being comforted, you are also being made into a place of comfort. You are not only being rebuilt, you are also being used to touch others through the very life I have placed within you. My peace is covering you not as a passing emotion, but as an unshakable foundation. My presence is holding you not only so that you may stand firm, but so that you may become a sign that I am truly present in the midst of human life. And from this point on, you will no longer merely exist in this life as one who has been rescued. You will live as one who abides in me and through you. Many others will begin to find their way home. I speak to you in the continuing flow of my presence that now covers your life, where every word I have spoken does not remain only a declaration, but is becoming a living experience in every breath of your soul. And now, as you have been placed into my new space, I invite you to step into a response, not through empty ritual, but through the very life that has been touched by grace. Now I open my heart fully before you and lift up a prayer from the deepest place within my soul where there are no more coverings, no more fear, no more defenses, but only truth breathing with you. Almighty God, you who formed me not to live within the temporary structures of old foundations, but to walk in the enduring stability of your presence, I bow before you in the awareness that everything I once relied on apart from you was only a shadow of true security. I lay before you every place I have clung to, every false support I have trusted, every relationship and habit I believed could hold me steady, yet in truth only confined me within my own limits. Forgive me for the times I chose what was familiar over what was true, for choosing a fragile peace over your leading. Lord, I bring before you the parts of me that still tremble in the face of change, the parts that long to return to the old house of fear, the parts that still try to control in order to avoid pain. Place your peace within those places, not as something external, but as a transformation at the deepest level of my being. Teach me to remain in you even when everything around me is shifting. For I now understand that your presence is the only place where I truly belong. Heavenly Father, teach me to live no longer according to my own assumptions, but according to the truth you reveal. Open my eyes so that I no longer confuse fleeting emotions with eternal guidance. Grant me discernment to know what to hold and what to release, what comes from you and what is only the echo of my past. I no longer desire to walk in uncertainty. I long to walk in your light, where I do not have to grope my way forward. Lord, keep me within your dwelling, not as a place I visit in moments of weakness, but as the place where I remain through every season of life, in joy and in sorrow, in ease and in trial. Anchor my heart so that it does not depart from your presence. Teach me not to return to old habits of self-protection, nor to old reactions of fear, but to always return to you as the one unchanging foundation. And now, within your presence, I lift up thanksgiving from the depths of my soul. I thank you for not leaving me within the decaying foundations I once built, but for patiently leading me out of them step by step, even when I did not understand. I thank you that even when I believed I was losing everything, you were in truth transforming what is within me, so that I would no longer be bound by what is old. I thank you, Lord, for the times when you did not immediately change my circumstances, but instead transformed my heart first, so that I could stand firm in the midst of them. I thank you for the peace you have placed within me, a peace that does not depend on outward calm, but remains steady even within upheaval. I thank you for not allowing me to continue living as a stranger within my own life, but for leading me into a true dwelling, where I no longer have to pretend to be strong in order to survive. And once again, I give you thanks that in this process of restoration, you have not destroyed me, but have quietly transformed me from within. I thank you that every old thing that has fallen away has not left me empty, but has prepared me for what you are placing within me. I thank you that even the shaking was not abandonment, but a sign that your hand was reaching deeply into the foundation of my soul. Lord, I surrender my entire future into your hands, not as something I must control, but as a journey in which I am led by you. Keep me rooted in your steadfastness, so that I am no longer carried away by outward changes, but remain grounded in your unchanging presence. Let my life become a reflection of the peace you have given, so that anyone who draws near may sense that you are truly here. And finally, I choose to live each day in the awareness that I am no longer one searching for a home. For you, yourself, have become my dwelling, not a place I visit, not a shelter I temporarily rely on, but the place where I live, where I move, and where I eternally belong. In every step, keep me from departing from that presence, so that my life does not merely exist, but truly lives in you. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this, you are not merely a spectator, you are chosen to live daily within the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any spiritual message. Amen. My beloved child, I see a quiet yet powerful current of life flowing into every corner of your soul. You do not need to strain yourself to understand it, nor do you need to search for it with your mind. You only need to open your heart like dry ground welcoming the rain, and the truth will gently yet surely seep into you. I am not standing at a distance to observe you, nor am I speaking from a place beyond your reach. I am very near, closer than your own breath, and my love for you is not a concept, but a living reality that surrounds you in every moment, even when you feel lost in a swirl of restless thoughts. I have never taken my eyes off you. You may have wondered whether you have been forgotten in the vast current of life, but I tell you clearly, not a single moment of your existence is unseen before me. As it is written, I have called you by name, you are mine, Isaiah 43:1. This word is not meant for someone distant. It is being spoken directly over your life. You are not a nameless soul drifting aimlessly, but one who is known, called by name, and held securely in my unchanging love. There are times when you think you must do something great to be worthy of that love. Yet you do not realize that my love is not built upon your performance. It does not increase when you succeed, nor does it diminish when you stumble. It exists as part of who I am, unchanging, unconditional, without limit. When you are weary, I do not turn away. When you doubt, I do not withdraw. When you are weak, I do not reject you. On the contrary, it is in those very moments that I draw even closer to you. As it is written, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. Remember the story of Hagar, the servant woman who fled into the wilderness in pain and despair. No one sought her. No one spoke on her behalf, and she believed herself completely forgotten. Yet in that desolate place, I appeared to her, called her by name, and revealed that I had seen all her suffering. She called me the God who sees me. Genesis 16:13. Do you see? Even in the place where you feel most abandoned, I am still present, not merely to observe, but to reach you, to lift you, and to lead you out of the loneliness you thought was your destiny. Therefore, my beloved, do not let passing emotions define your worth. Do not let dark days cause you to doubt the light that still exists. Light does not vanish simply because you cannot see it. It remains, waiting for you to turn and recognize it. And I am that light. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. As you draw near to me, you do not need to strive to become light. You simply begin to reflect what has always existed in me. You do not need to run about seeking validation from the world, for what you truly need has already been established in me. I do not speak these words for you to hear and then forget, but so that you may begin to live in the truth that you are fully loved. When you grasp this, you will no longer strive to prove your worth, because that worth was determined long before you ever did anything to earn it. Let your heart become tender before me, for it is within that softness that you will discern my guidance. I do not force you to move, nor do I push you into places for which you are not yet ready. I lead you with a gentleness that can only be perceived by those who truly listen. And as you begin to trust, you will see that each step you take is no longer a groping through darkness, but a journey illuminated from within. You may not yet see the entire path ahead, but you do not need to see everything in order to move forward. What you need is not control, but trust. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3-5, 6. When you release the need to understand everything, you will begin to experience the peace I am placing within you. And within that peace, you will realize something profound. You have never been alone. Even when no one stands beside you, I am there. Even when no one understands you, I understand. Even when you do not know where to go, I know. My love is not a distant promise, but a living presence that surrounds you every day. Let these words sink deeply into you as water soaks into the soil. Do not rush, do not doubt, and do not close your heart. You do not need to become someone else in order to be loved. You are already loved as you are. And from that love, I will transform you not through pressure, but through the gentle and continual touch of grace. Remain in this truth. You are seen, you are known, and you are loved with a love that will never run dry. And as you begin to live from that place, you will no longer fear what lies ahead, for you will know that wherever you go, I have already gone before you. My beloved child, incline the ear of your heart toward me, for what I reveal does not come with the thunder of storms, but settles gently like the morning mist upon the fields at dawn. My presence does not need display to prove its power. Even the lightest touch of mine is enough to dissolve the layers of sorrow you have quietly carried. I do not come to make you tremble, but to bring an end to your trembling, not to place more burdens upon you, but to lift from your shoulders what you have borne for too long. When every other voice leaves you unsettled, my voice remains calm, clear, never striving to compete, yet never fading away. You may have grown accustomed to the loud and overwhelming noises of the world, assuming that anything truly powerful must be accompanied by great intensity and spectacle. Yet I teach you a deeper mystery. True power does not need to be loud. When I came to Elijah in the cave, I was not in the windstorm, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in a still small voice, 1 Kings 19:12, that I revealed myself. Do you see? I choose to draw near to you with gentleness, because your heart does not need more pressure, it needs to be held. And within that very quietness, I am speaking to you this truth. You have never been alone on this journey. When the night seems to stretch longer than you expected, and silent thoughts begin to question your worth, I remain the light that never fades. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. That light does not blind you, but it is sufficient for each step you take in safety. I do not hand you the entire map of your life at once. Instead, I give you guidance day by day, and even in the moments when you feel you must figure everything out on your own. It is I who am quietly holding your hand. I knew you before you ever knew yourself. Before your first cry echoed into this world, I had already seen your form in the deepest hidden place. As it is written, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book. Psalm 139:16. You are not the result of chance, nor are you a late-formed idea. You were thought of, planned, and loved long before you could even understand what love is. There are dreams you have never spoken aloud, desires you have kept hidden in the deepest corners of your heart, and fears you do not even know how to name. Yet nothing within you is unfamiliar to me. Every passing thought, every whispered prayer in the night, every tear you quickly wiped away so no one would see it, all stands before me as clearly as stars in the night sky. I do not search you to condemn you, I behold you to preserve you. For my love is not a cold surveillance, but a tender and watchful care. Remember Nathaniel, who once sat beneath the fig tree believing that no one noticed him. When he encountered me, he was astonished that I said, before Philip called you, I saw you. John 1:48. What stirred him was not a grand miracle, but the truth that I had seen him in his most private moment. So it is with you. Before you call, I already know. Before you doubt, I already understand. Before you question whether your life holds meaning, I have already established your worth within my own heart. Therefore, do not think that you must draw attention to yourself in order to receive my care. I do not love you because you stand out. I love you because you belong to me. Even when the world turns its back on you, I still turn my face toward you. Even when you feel lost in the crowd, I still call you by name. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. That love does not shift with your emotions, nor is it shaken by your circumstances. And when you come to understand that you are so fully known, you will no longer fear being misunderstood to the point of despair. For even if others misread you, I read you rightly. Even if others fail to see your heart, I see it. even if you have not yet recognized your own potential. I have long seen it. What I have begun in you is not a temporary undertaking, it is an eternal purpose. So, my beloved, let your heart find rest in this truth. I know you more deeply than you know yourself, and I still choose to love you. I do not come to judge every thought, but to transform each one through my presence. I do not stand at a distance watching you grow. I remain beside you, guiding you into maturity. And amid all the noise of life, remember that my voice, though gentle, is strong enough to lead you through every season, because it flows from a love that never runs dry. My beloved child, there are seasons when you walk as though your feet are brushing against an unseen abyss, your heart weighed down by the feeling that no one truly understands what you carry. You withdraw into yourself through long nights, when the darkness seems not only to surround you from without, but to seep into you from within. Yet even in those moments, when you believe you have fallen into the deepest place of solitude, I am still present, not far away to observe, but very near to hold you. I do not wait for you to become strong before I come. Rather, it is in your most fragile moments that I am there more than ever. The tears you have tried to hide have not fallen into a meaningless void. You have kept count of my wanderings, put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Do you see? Your tears are not forgotten upon the cold ground. They are preserved by me as precious jewels. I do not take your pain lightly, nor do I consider your restless nights insignificant. Every time you tremble in fear, every moment you sit in silence because words have failed you, I have been there quietly, yet steadfastly placing my hand upon you. You may not realize that many times when you thought you had risen on your own, it was I who lifted you. When you believed you had no strength left to go on, yet somehow you made it through another day. That was not by chance. It was my breath sustaining you. When the ashes of failure settled over your dreams and you thought everything had come to an end, I breathed into them a new spark of hope. As it is written, He gives them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning. Isaiah 61:3. I do not merely comfort you in the ruins, I transform those very ruins into the foundation of something new. Remember Jeremiah, who once lamented that he was born only to see hardship and rejection. There were moments when he wanted to remain silent, to speak no more, because the burden within him was too great. Yet in the midst of that despair, I placed within him a fire that could not be extinguished. He said that my word was like a fire shut up in his bones. Jeremiah 20:9. So it is with you. Though you may have felt broken, there is still something within you that I have placed there, a flame that darkness cannot consume. You may see yourself as weak, but I see in you a life that has never gone out. There are days when you question whether your existence holds any meaning at all. You look into the mirror and see only cracks, shortcomings, and unmet expectations. But when I look at you, I see my own image reflected. So God created mankind in His own image. Genesis 1:27. You are not a random fragment of creation. You are a work I have carefully formed. Even if you cannot feel your worth, that does not make it disappear. A jewel covered in dust is still precious. Its brilliance does not depend on the eyes that behold it. Even when you turn away from yourself, when you doubt and accuse your own heart, I have never turned away from you. When you no longer believe you are worthy, I still call you mine, not because you are perfect, but because you belong to me. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Jeremiah 31:3. That love does not fluctuate with your emotions. It does not shrink when you fail, nor does it expand when you succeed. It remains steadfast. Just as I am, you think you are broken, but I see you being formed. You think you are lost, but I see you being led through a valley where you are learning to recognize my voice more clearly. You think you are weak, but I see within you a softness capable of holding great compassion. My power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. It is in the very places where you feel most fragile that I place my strength. Therefore, my beloved, do not be quick to define yourself while the storm has not yet passed. Do not label yourself by your darkest moments. What you are going through is not your final identity. I, the one who created the stars and set them in their courses, am not ashamed to call you my child. I do not hesitate to stand with you. I do not hold back from surrounding you with my love. Let this truth sink deeply into you. You have not been abandoned in the depths of isolation. You have not been forgotten in the long night. I was there. I am there. And I will always be there. When you no longer see your own worth, I still see an unfinished masterpiece. When you think you are nothing but ashes, I see a seed waiting to sprout. And in every season, whether you recognize it or not, I am still holding your hand, never letting go, never withdrawing, never changing. My beloved child, I see the weariness seeping into your thoughts like a heavy mist covering a morning that has yet to meet the sun. I know what you have been quietly carrying: responsibilities, expectations, unnamed anxieties, and I do not take them lightly. But there are burdens that were never meant for your shoulders. There are pressures you have taken upon yourself because you believed you must be strong, must be perfect, must manage everything alone. I tell you today, let them go. Not because you are weak, but because you were created to live in reliance, not in exhaustion. I never intended for you to become a wall that holds up the world. I am your fortress. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. When you feel as though you are about to collapse, I do not stand at a distance. I am the foundation beneath your feet. When you no longer have the strength to fight, I am the one who stands on your behalf. You do not need to battle every conflict by your own ability, for there are battles that belong to me. As I once spoke to my people, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. That stillness is not surrender to defeat, but surrender in trust. There are chapters you believed were permanently closed. Doors that shut before you made you think all hope had disappeared. But I am not confined by the finality you perceive, what you call an ending. I can turn into a beginning, as when I stood before the tomb of Lazarus, where everyone believed it was too late. I spoke a word and life returned. John 11:43-44. Do you see? I do not come only when circumstances are favorable. I come even when everything seems beyond restoration. For in me, nothing is ever truly lost. The paths you once avoided out of fear, I know them. I know the unease you feel when stepping into what is unfamiliar. But you do not walk alone. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. I do not merely lead you to safe places. I walk with you through the dark ones. I do not promise to remove every trial, but I promise never to leave you within them. And in those trembling steps, you will discover that I am nearer than you ever imagined. There are dreams you have buried deep because of disappointment. You once hoped, and then failed. You once trusted, and then were wounded. And gradually, you learned to stop expecting so that you would not be hurt again. But I am the one who breathes life into what seems dry and lifeless. Like the valley of dry bones that Ezekiel saw, where everything appeared to be nothing but remains, I spoke, and the bones came together, were covered with flesh, and my breath brought them back to life. Ezekiel 37, 5-10. You believe your dreams have died, but I see potential waiting to be restored. And hear me clearly in this. You do not need to prove your worth before me. My love is not a reward for your achievements. I do not measure you by the standards of the world's success. I do not love you because of what you accomplish, but because you belong to me. When Jesus was baptized, before he performed any miracle, a voice from heaven declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Matthew 3:17. That approval came before the works. So it is with you. Your worth does not begin with what you accomplish, but with your relationship with me. In my eyes, you are never insignificant. Even if you see yourself as just one among many, I see in you a purpose unlike any other. I do not define you by the mistakes you have made. If I judged only by failure, I would not have called David a man after my own heart, nor would I have used Peter after he denied me 3 times. I see beyond your past. I see the seed I have placed within you, the capacity to love in the midst of coldness, to bring healing in broken places, to shine light in the darkness. My beloved, do not diminish yourself because of past failures. Do not allow the voice of shame to drown out my calling. I am not searching in you for flawless perfection. I am looking for a willing heart. And when you give me your weariness, I will give you my peace. When you surrender your fears, I will place courage within you. When you release what was never meant for you to carry, you will feel my hands lifting you up. Come to me when you are weary. As it is written, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. That rest is not an escape from life, but a restoration of strength in me. You were not created to live in constant exhaustion. You were created to live under the covering of my love. Therefore, let me be your refuge. Let me rewrite the lines you thought were written in error. Let me breathe life into what you believed had faded away. And in every step ahead, whether you still tremble or cannot yet see the full path, remember that I walk with you, not as a distant observer, but as a father who upholds, protects, and never abandons the child he loves. My beloved child, the season has come for you to no longer remain among the shadows shaped by your own fears. I did not create you to shrink back in uncertainty, nor did I plant seeds of faith within you only for them to wither under the noise of circumstance. There are moments when everything around you seems to deny what I have promised, as though opposing winds are trying to extinguish the flame within you. Yet I teach you this truth. My word does not waver with the changing conditions of life. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever. Isaiah 40:8. When you stand upon that word, you stand upon a foundation that cannot be shaken. Do not let the shouting of reality cause you to forget the steady whisper of my voice. The world may be loud, but I do not need to raise my voice to be heard. When Peter stepped out of the boat into the storm, he began to sink only when he fixed his eyes on the waves instead of on me. Matthew 14:29-30. So it is with you. When your focus is consumed by the threats before you, your heart will begin to waver. But when you fix your gaze upon me, even if the waters remain unsettled, you will be held steady. Faith is not the denial of the storm. It is the certainty of who stands with you in the midst of it. I am calling you to step out of the land of hesitation, where you have grown accustomed to waiting for yet another sign before you dare to believe. You do not need more evidence when you already have my word. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. To live by faith means choosing to believe even when your emotions have not yet caught up. Choosing to move forward even when you cannot see the full picture. And when you entrust me with the authority to continue writing the story of your life, you will discover that I am not only composing gentle pages, but shaping a journey filled with power and purpose. Remember Joseph, who was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. If seen with natural eyes, his story appeared to be a chain of failures. Yet I was writing another chapter behind those events. In the end, the very place where he was brought low became the place where I raised him up to save an entire nation. Genesis 50:20. Do you see? What others intended for harm, I can transform into a means for good. Your story does not end in the chapter you are currently reading. I still have many pages yet to unfold. Therefore, my beloved, lift up your head. Do not let the weight of your past pull your gaze to the ground. I do not place chains of regret upon you. I place upon you a crown of life. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life. James 1:12. That crown is not a symbol of pride, but a mark of identity. You are not a wanderer lost in the wilderness of life. You are an heir of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Hebrews 12:28. Even if the earth trembles, your foundation remains secure. Storms will not disappear simply because you believe. But I am your refuge when the winds rise. The Lord is my refuge and my fortress. Psalm 91:2. When darkness covers your sight, my light does not go out. That light may not always bring immediate daylight, but it is enough to keep you from losing your way. I do not promise you a journey without trials. I promise you a presence that never departs. You may have thought yourself too small to carry something great within you, but I do not call you as the world calls. I call you according to what I see. When Samuel looked at David's brothers and assumed they were the chosen ones, I said, people look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. I see in you what you have not yet dared to believe about yourself. I see a strength within your gentleness, courage hidden behind your trembling, and light even when you feel only darkness. So let my voice guide you. Do not allow your heart to be divided between eternal promises and passing voices. When you choose to trust, you are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into what I have already prepared. Rise up from the place of doubt. Step beyond the boundaries that fear has drawn. I am opening before you a path that is not only beautiful in its outcome, but powerful in its purpose. My beloved, remember this: you do not belong to darkness. You were not created to live bowed down. You carry within you the identity of an heir protected by me. guided by me, and loved with an unshakable love. And as you walk in that truth, you will not merely exist, you will shine, because my light within you never fades. My beloved child, do not close your heart to what I am placing into your hands. There are blessings knocking at the door of your life that you hesitate to receive because you believe you are not good enough, not worthy enough. But I tell you today, those blessings are not given because you are perfect. They are given because I love you. My love does not operate by the world's system of reward and punishment. It flows from who I am. And when I give, I do not require you to prove anything beforehand. Each morning I open before your eyes is not merely a continuation of yesterday, but a new opportunity placed into your hands. His mercies are new every morning. Lamentations 3:23. You are not bound to what is past. Your mistakes do not have the authority to determine your future. What you have not yet accomplished is not a sentence over your life. I am the one who gives you a new beginning, not in isolation, but within my embrace. When you step into a new day, I am already there waiting for you, not with accusation, but with open arms. Let my love shape you. Do not be afraid when I touch the places that still ache, for I do not touch to wound you further, but to heal. Like a potter who is patient with the clay, I do not hastily discard you when I see a crack. I reshape, refine, and continue forming until what I have intended is revealed. Jeremiah 18:6. You are not a flawed product, you are a work in progress. And within that process, I am preparing you for things far greater than you have ever imagined yourself reaching. You may have limited your dreams because you feared failing once again, but I do not limit what I can do through you. For I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace and not for harm, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. You were not created merely to endure each day. You are sent. You are called to step into places where my light is meant to shine through you. When my love touches you, it does not stop at comforting you. It transforms you into one who carries hope to others. And hear me clearly in this. I do not change. The world shifts. Hearts waver. Circumstances rise and fall. But I remain who I am. I, the Lord, do not change. Malachi 3:6. Therefore, the promises I have given you do not wear out with time. When I call you mine, it is not a passing statement. When I commit to love you, it is not a fleeting emotion. It is a covenant established deeper than every change. Remember Peter after he denied me. He thought he had lost everything, that his future had closed because of his failure. Yet, I did not revoke my calling over his life. I found him by the shore, prepared a meal for him, and restored his mission. John 21:15-17. Do you see? Failure does not have the final word. I have the final word, and that word is always filled with hope. Therefore, my beloved, live in the truth that you belong to me. Do not merely hear it as a beautiful idea, but let it become the foundation of every thought you carry. When you know that you are eternally loved, you will no longer fear abandonment. When you believe that you belong to me, you will no longer search for identity elsewhere. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Romans 8:35. No circumstance, no failure, no power can ever separate you from my love. Let this truth become your very breath. When you awaken, remember that you are loved. When you stumble, remember that you are held. When you succeed, Remember the source of every blessing. And when you step into the greater things I place before you, do not walk in fear, but in the certainty that I go with you. You are mine, not temporarily, but forever. My love does not fade with time, nor does it retreat because of your weakness. It stands firm, surrounds you, and leads you. Live in that truth as the greatest light in your life, for it is not merely comfort, it is a reality that will never pass away. My beloved child, let your soul grow still before my presence, like a calm lake when the wind has ceased. Do not allow layers of anxious thoughts to wrap around you so tightly that you forget there is one who holds the whole picture while you see only a small part. You were not created to carry what lies beyond your reach. When your mind races toward uncertain futures, when your heart is unsettled by possibilities you cannot control, I invite you to return to the quiet place within me. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not an escape from reality, but a placing of reality under my sovereign authority. I am not constrained by the limits that trouble you. Time does not rush me. Circumstances do not confuse me. And what appears as delay to you is not failure within my plan. What you call delay is often preparation. What you perceive as silence is often the moment when I am arranging what you cannot yet see. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. 2 Peter 3:8. You measure by the clock, I move according to fullness. Not a single beat in my design is out of place. Not a single note in the symphony of your life is out of tune. I know you have been waiting. I have seen the moments when you whispered your prayers and then opened your eyes, only to find that what you longed for had not yet appeared. I have heard the knocking of your heart as you searched for opportunity, for answers, or for a confirming sign. At times, deep within, you have wondered whether you have been forgotten in the crowded flow of life. But my child, I never forget what I have begun in you. As I have spoken through the prophet Habakkuk, though the vision lingers, wait for it. It will surely come and will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. What appears as delay to you is not denial from me. Remember Daniel, who fasted and prayed for many days without seeing an answer. He did not know that from the very first day he humbled himself in prayer. His words had already been heard, and the answer had been sent, though it had to pass through unseen resistance. Daniel 10:12-13. Do you see? There are movements taking place beyond your sight. There are doors I am opening in places your feet have not yet reached. Silence does not mean I am indifferent. Often it is the sign that I am working at a deeper level. Not a single prayer of yours dissolves into emptiness. Not a single sigh falls without reaching me. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34-18. I do not only hear with ears, I perceive with my heart. When you grow weary from waiting, I do not accuse you of weak faith. I understand the longing within you, for it is I who placed that hope there. You may have knocked on a door that remains closed, but, my child, not every closed door is a loss. There are paths that, if opened too soon, would bring you harm. There are things that, if given before their time, would cause you to fall. I am a father who not only gives what is good, but also protects you from what is not yet right. When I close away, it is not because I lack power, but because I see farther than you do. And when I open, no one can shut it. Revelation 3-7. Therefore, instead of allowing your heart to be torn apart by doubt, place it into my hands. Trust that I am weaving something greater than what you have asked. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, Ephesians 3:20, does not fall asleep over your desires. You see delay, I see completion taking shape. You see emptiness, I see a foundation being laid. Let your heart find rest in my faithfulness. Do not measure my love by the speed of my answers. Do not evaluate my care by the form in which I respond. I do not change according to your emotions. I am still listening, still seeing, still at work. And when the appointed time comes, you will realize that not a single day of waiting was meaningless. My beloved, hold firmly to that faith. Let my silence not frighten you, but strengthen you. For within that stillness, I am continuing to write your story in the most complete way. And when you look back, you will understand that every prayer, every tear, every groan has been treasured by me and answered in ways far beyond what you once imagined. My beloved child, there are moments when you stand before silence and call it rejection. You look at the passing of time and assume that I have turned away. But I speak to you with gentleness and certainty. What you think has been closed is often simply being held back. Not because I am delayed, nor because you lack worth, but because I am working at a deeper level than your eyes can see. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love. Psalm 103:8. That slowness is not indifference, but the fullness of love carefully at work. You may think I am refusing, but in truth, I am preparing. You may think I have said no, but often I am simply saying, not yet. I am a father who does not give merely to satisfy urgency, but to build endurance and strength. When I withhold a door, it is not because you are unworthy to pass through it, but because I desire that when you do enter, you are steady enough not to be undone by what lies within. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. My timing is neither late nor early, it is exact. Consider Joseph. The dream I placed in his heart came early, yet its fulfillment arrived only after many years of testing. If I had raised him to authority at once, would he have had the depth to bear it? But through the pit, through the prison, through misunderstanding and isolation, I formed him into a vessel strong enough to carry great responsibility. When his season came, he not only received the blessing, but was mature enough to steward it. So it is with you. I do not only desire to give you what is good, I desire for you to be able to hold and use it fully. Look at the seed I place into the ground. It does not rise into a tree overnight. It remains hidden in darkness, covered by soil, appearing as though nothing is happening. Yet in that very darkness, roots are forming. In that hidden place, life is being gathered. The seed sprouts and grows, though the sower does not know how. Mark 4:27. Growth often takes place in silence. You may not see progress, but that does not mean there is no movement. When I place a promise within your heart, I also place within it a process. The darkness of the soil is not a place of ending, it is the beginning of rooting. If a seed refuses the season of being hidden, it will never grow strong enough to rise. If roots do not go deep, the tree will not stand when the winds come. You ask for blessing. but I am also building the foundation so that you will not collapse when that blessing arrives. For there are things that, if given too soon, would become a burden rather than a gift. My beloved, the delay within me is not cold or indifferent. It is protection. It is formation. Just as a potter does not hastily remove a vessel that is still soft from the kiln, I do not place you into a new position before you are ready. For we are his workmanship, Ephesians 2:10. I do not abandon my work unfinished. I am shaping you, strengthening you, making you able to carry more than you once believed possible. And when the season comes for it, surely will, you will realize that the time of waiting was never wasted. You will look back and see that every silent day was a day of preparation. Every prayer that was not answered in the way you expected was a step in building depth within you. You will not only receive the blessing, you will carry it with humility and strength. Therefore, do not fear the quiet. Do not rush to dig up the soil to see whether the seed has begun to sprout. Trust the process. Trust me. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. Waiting in me does not wear you down, it renews you. And when the appointed time comes, you will no longer call it delay. You will call it the perfect wisdom of a father who loves you more than you can understand. My beloved child, there are questions you carry within your heart that you dare not speak aloud. Why has what you asked for not yet come to pass? Why do doors remain closed? And why does the sky seem so silent? I do not condemn you for asking, but I invite you to lay those questions down in trust, like a child resting their head upon a father's chest. My timing is never off by even a single beat. What you call late is often right on time, according to a wisdom far beyond your sight. The Lord holds time in his hands, and he never comes too early to disrupt the process, nor too late to miss the moment. You see through the limits of the present. I see from the beginning to the end. You see a single turn. I see the entire path. You see a closed door. I see the turns that are protecting you from what does not belong to the future I have prepared. For my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways. Isaiah 55:8. This does not mean I am distant. It means I am greater in scope. I know what is forming ahead, what must be removed, and what must be preserved to guard you. Learning to trust is not only for when everything aligns with your desires. It is most deeply formed when everything seems to move in the opposite direction. Faith is not the comfort that comes after answers appear. Faith is the choice to hold my hand when answers have not yet come. Abraham waited many years for the promise of a son. He saw nothing but advancing age and weakening strength. Yet he did not waver in faith when he considered his own body. Romans 4:19-20. He chose to trust the one who had promised rather than the circumstances around him. And in that waiting, I made the impossible become possible. My beloved child, waiting in me is not an empty void. It is a forge where I shape your character. It is a season in which I deepen your roots before your branches rise. If I were to give you everything at once, you might rejoice for a moment, but you would lack the foundation to stand when the winds come. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. That strength is not formed in haste, but in endurance. There are times when you feel that all you can do is wait, yet precisely when you believe you are powerless. I am working in the most profound way. Consider when my people stood before the Red Sea, with no path ahead and their enemies behind them. They could not open the way themselves, but in the very moment they could do nothing. I parted the sea for them. Exodus 14. Do you see? Your helplessness does not make me helpless. When your hands fall still, my hand begins to move. That stillness is also the place where I teach you to look upward rather than around. When you fix your eyes only on what has not yet happened, your heart can be swallowed by disappointment. But when you turn your gaze toward me, you begin to see a greater purpose. David said, "My soul, wait silently for God alone, for my expectation is from Him." Psalm 62:5. That silence is not despair, it is anchoring. I am not only preparing what you are waiting for, I am preparing you. For if you receive what I have promised before you are formed, it may become a burden rather than a blessing. Waiting teaches you patience. Silence teaches you discernment. Delay teaches you perseverance. And when the season arrives, you will not only rejoice in the outcome, you will recognize that you have been transformed through the process. Therefore, my beloved, let your heart rest in this truth. I do not miss my timing. Not a single day of your life falls outside my governance. When what you have asked for has not yet come to pass, it does not mean I have forgotten. When a door has not yet opened, it does not mean I have not heard. I am working in ways beyond your understanding. Learn to trust not only when the light is bright, but also when you walk through the mist. Trust that when you cannot see, I still see clearly. When you feel you can do nothing, I am doing more than you imagine. And when the appointed time arrives, you will understand that every day of waiting was not a loss, but a gift I used to lead you into what is wholly good. My beloved child, I see the weariness settling into your soul like evening shadows over a field after a long day. I do not dismiss what you are going through, nor do I call your exhaustion weakness. But do not strive to create strength for yourself when I stand ready to be your strength. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12-9. It is in the very place where you feel emptied that I desire to reveal my gentle yet unwavering power. Place that weariness into my hands. Do not continue to strain yourself as though everything depends on you. You were not created to save yourself, nor were you called to carry every burden on your own. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. The rest I give is not in it, but a restoration of the soul. When you lean on me, you do not become weaker, you are renewed. I know you have been waiting, and in that waiting, there are moments when you wonder why what you long for has not yet come. But my beloved, what I am preparing for you is greater than what you can imagine. I do not withhold because I lack love. I withhold because I love deeply. A wise father does not place a sharp sword into the hands of a child who is not yet mature enough to wield it. I do not give hastily, for I do not desire that what is good would become a burden that causes you to fall. Remember my people when they demanded to enter the promised land at once. Yet because their hearts were not ready, their journey was prolonged through the wilderness. It was not because I desired their suffering, but because I desired their preparation. Deuteronomy 8:2. The wilderness is not a place of abandonment, it is a place of formation. And so it is. In your journey, every moment of delay carries purpose. I am cultivating endurance within you, deepening the roots of your faith, and teaching you to know me, not only through blessings, but through my presence. Do not accuse me, because certain doors have not yet opened. Instead, Give thanks that I see what you cannot see. There are things that, if given too soon, would overwhelm you. There are dreams that, if fulfilled before you are ready, could cause you to lose yourself. But as you persevere in waiting, you will receive not only what you desire, but something more complete. No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly. Psalm 84:11. That goodness is not merely material or visible success. It is maturity, depth, and a living relationship with me. I do not only desire to give you gifts, I desire to give you myself, for I am the source of every blessing. If you seek only what I give and forget to seek me, you will easily grow discouraged when what you long for has not yet come. But when you seek me first, you will realize that my presence itself is the greatest blessing. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his face continually. 1 Chronicles 16:11. When you have me, you have a wellspring that will never run dry. My beloved, slowing down is not loss. It is the rhythm I place into your life so that you will not stumble through haste. When you surrender your impatience to me, I give you peace in return. When you offer me your weariness, I give you renewed strength. And when the appointed time arrives, you will understand that every moment of waiting has been used to prepare something far beyond what you once asked for. Therefore, rest in me. Do not let delay cause you to question my love. I am not slow, I am precise. I am not withholding out of reluctance, I am acting in wisdom. And what I have for you is not merely a temporary blessing, but a lasting fullness. Trust this, for I, the one who loves you more than you can comprehend, am holding you within my perfect plan. My beloved child, release the hurried breaths of anxiety. Do not let your heart be stretched thin by impatience, nor allow the silence to make you doubt your worth. I am at work, even when your eyes cannot see. I move in the deepest layers, where your light has not yet reached, within what you call coincidence. I am arranging within the darkness that seems empty. I am weaving something radiant. The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise. 2 Peter 3:9. Silence is not absence. It is the hidden preparation of love. When I open a door, no one can shut it, and when I shut it, no one can open it. Revelation 3:7. Therefore, do not fear the doors that remain closed. When I declare, it is time, every opposing force must step aside. You will see the precision of my timing. And on that day, you will understand that not a single tear you have shed was in vain. You have kept count of my wanderings, put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Every sigh has been remembered by me. Every moment that felt like rejection was only a step leading to a greater giving. Be steadfast, my child. The best has not yet come, but it surely will. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1-6. I do not abandon my work. I do not begin only to leave it unfinished. And when you look back, you will smile and say, every delay was a testament to a love that never misses its timing. I have seen the moments when you stood in silence, gazing at the ruins of your life, wondering if anything good could ever grow from such desolation. You held the broken pieces in your hands and thought they were nothing more than fragments of painful memories. But hear me, I turn ashes into beauty. Isaiah 61:3. I do not require a perfect blueprint to create a masterpiece. I use the very cracks to let light enter. I use failures to build depth. I use brokenness to reveal a beauty you have never seen before. Remember Naomi, who returned to Bethlehem empty-handed and filled with bitterness. She believed her life was marked only by loss. Yet in the fields of a new season, I was weaving the story of Ruth, of Boaz, and opening a lineage that would lead to the Redeemer, Ruth 4. From what seemed like an ending, I wrote a beginning. So it is with you. I do not look at the fragments to mourn them, I look at them to restore. My child, do not underestimate the process I am carrying out in quietness. Like a seed hidden in the dark soil, the roots are growing deep before the shoot ever breaks through. The seed sprouts and grows, though the sower does not know how. Mark 4:27. Growth often unfolds beyond what the eyes can see. When you think you are standing still, I am making you steady. When everything feels slowed down, I am laying a foundation so that what is coming will not shake you. Therefore, rest in me. Let hope rise again like the dawn after a long night. You are not forgotten among the ashes. You are being prepared for a new beauty. I, the one who created all things out of nothing, am able to bring forth what has never existed from what you thought was lost. And when the door I open stands before you, you will not step through as one merely surviving the ruins, but as one restored, equipped, and sent. Hold your heart firm, for I am at work. And what I am doing for you is not only the repair of your past, but the unveiling of your future, a future in which you will look back at the desolation and realize that it was there, in that very place, that my unfailing love began to write the most radiant chapter of your life. My beloved child, when your eyes rest only upon the scattered fragments lying quietly across the ground of your life, I am already seeing a greater picture emerging through each hidden stroke. You see ruin. I see a structure being rebuilt. You see cracks that cannot be mended. I see pieces being joined together according to a deeper design. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8:28. This is not a vague comfort. It is a truth actively unfolding within what you are now experiencing. Not a single wound of yours is taken lightly by me. Not once have you fallen without me being there. I do not waste your pain. I do not allow your losses to pass as something meaningless. Every collapse becomes a deeper foundation I lay. Every wound becomes a place where I will bring forth wisdom. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. I do not heal you merely so that you may stop hurting. I heal you so that you may grow. You call it an ending, but I call it a beginning. You see the slowing of your path and think you have been left behind. But I know you are being led through a necessary journey. Like Joseph in the prison, he did not understand why he had to endure years of being forgotten. Yet in the place that seemed like abandonment, I was preparing him for a position that would save an entire nation. Genesis 50:20. What you call delay is often the process of lifting you to a place higher than you have ever dared to hope. Remember this, nothing in your life is accidental. I do not operate by chance. Even the doors that suddenly close are still within my hand. The Lord will guide you continually. Isaiah 58:11. There are paths I do not allow you to enter because beyond them lies danger you cannot yet see. There are opportunities I withhold because, if received too soon, they would pull your heart away from the direction I have set. I do not close to harm you, I close to protect you. Consider Balaam, who insisted on going down a path that seemed favorable in his own eyes. He did not see the angel standing in the way. Yet his donkey perceived it, Numbers 22. What he thought was an obstacle was, in truth, protection. So it is with you. There are moments when you feel frustrated at being restrained. Yet in time, you will recognize it as mercy. Protection does not always appear in the form you expect. I see your future more clearly than you see your present. I know what is approaching, what must be removed, and what must be preserved so that you do not lose your way. I do not close a door merely to leave you empty. I close it to lead you toward another one where the blessing is not only outwardly appealing, but inwardly enduring. The Lord is my rock and my fortress, Psalm 18:2. In me, you are sheltered from the paths that would have broken you. My beloved, trust that every detail of your life is being arranged with intention. Do not rush to judge the present chapter when the story is not yet complete. I do not see your life as scattered fragments. I see it as a whole that is being brought into completion. And when that picture is revealed, you will understand that not a single pain was wasted. Not a single closed door was without reason, and not a single delay was meaningless. For I, the one who governs all things, am holding your hand through every turn. When you see fragments, I see beauty being formed. When you see loss, I see renewal. And when you believe you stand at an ending, I am opening a new beginning where true blessing awaits you. In its fullness and at the perfect time, my beloved child, I have seen the nights when you turned your face into the darkness and let your tears fall because what you longed for did not come to pass. I do not blame you for your pain. I do not regard those tears as weakness. But my child, do not allow the mist of sorrow to cloud the vision of faith I have placed within your heart. Loss may be real, but it is not the whole story. If you fix your gaze only on what has passed, you will struggle to recognize the new path I am opening before you. There are things you have held onto too tightly out of fear of losing them. Yet I invite you to release them so that you may receive something greater. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. Faith is not the ability to understand every reason, but the choice to trust in my goodness when the reasons have not yet been revealed. You call me Father, then trust me as a child trusts the guiding hand of their father. Even when the road ahead is not fully seen, I do not want you to walk only by what your eyes can perceive. Your sight can be deceived by circumstances, but my promises do not change with the shifting conditions of your life. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. When you step forward without seeing the entire path, you are declaring that you trust me more than you trust your fears. And in those very steps, you will come to realize that I have never left you to walk alone. You have asked me for strength, yet you imagined that strength would come as something effortless, something placed gently into your hands without cost. You hoped I would give it to you fully formed, requiring nothing of you. But true strength is not wrapped in comfort. It is born in trial. It is formed when you stand firm against opposing winds. My power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. It is when you recognize that you are not enough that you begin to learn how to depend on me. Look at David. He did not become king merely because he was anointed. He faced lions, bears, and even Goliath. Those battles were not punishment. They were the places where I shaped him into a shepherd for my people. Without the lonely days in the wilderness, would he have learned to trust me on the battlefield? so it is with you. The days when you feel stretched are not evidence that I have abandoned you. They are evidence that I am strengthening you. The strength I give is not a hardness that feels no pain. It is a steadfastness born from dependence. When you kneel in your weakness and say, I cannot without you, that is when I begin my deepest work. I do not remove every trial so that you will never weep. I walk with you through every trial so that you will never fall. My beloved child, do not fix your eyes on what has been lost and forget what is yet to come. I do not deny your sorrow, but I do not desire for you to remain in it. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5. That morning is not merely a change of circumstance. It is a transformation within your heart when you realize that I am still there, still leading, still faithful to my word. Therefore, rise from the place of regret, wipe your tears, and look forward with trust. I do not take anything away without purpose. I do not allow you to pass through fire without intending to refine you. The strength you are seeking is not outside of you. It is being formed within you by me. Keep moving forward, even if your steps still tremble, for in every step, I am there. And when you look back on this journey, you will understand that the days you thought were your weakest were the very days I was shaping you into someone unshakable. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this, you are not merely a listener. You are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss any of these spiritual messages. Amen.